Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Learn Live. Today, I'm here with Yoshio Terada, Yoshio-san from Japan, and we're going to be talking about deploying a Java EE, Jakarta EE application to Azure. It's a Learn module that we're going to be following along with. Yoshio-san is going to be doing the actual live coding for this. And I'm going to be describing what's happening as we go through it.
Yeah. Tristan, thank you so much for joining this Learn Live. And so I will show the demonstration. And yeah, it's actually, so I wrote this module. I'm the original author. So
Yes.
I'm very fun to work with you. So thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. And Yoshio-san, I mean, you've had a deep background in working with Jakarta EE. Do you want to tell the folks a little bit about yourself, your history?
Oh yeah, so so in the past I had worked at Sun Microsystem and Oracle Japan, and at the time I had worked at the Java EE evangelist in Japanese market, and so I expanded the Java EE ecosystem to the Japan. So yeah, I have the knowledge of the Java EE and. So in the past, I have also worked at do you know the glassfish? So I was a glassfish engineer. Yeah. So I have just now, not only the glassfish, but also I'm treating all of the application server. So.
Yeah, and thank you. This is an awesome module. I mean, you really did a great job on putting this together. It's quite a complex topic. So you've created several scripts and data connections using scripts that make it very, very easy to create a pretty cool demo using Jakarta EE running on an Azure App Service. So yes, thank you for putting this together. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you.
And my name is Brian Benz. I'm a cloud advocate at Microsoft as well. And I've been working with Java for 20 plus years now. And I'm all of us actually that are doing this today are Java champions. And I've been working at Microsoft personally for about almost 10 years now. And happy to be here as well. I'm based in Las Vegas. And let's get going. Before we get going, though, I do want to talk about our moderator. Thank you, Mark Heckler, for joining. Mark, as well, is a Java champion, and he's been on staff here for a couple of years now as a cloud advocate as well. So we're all on the same team, and happy to be with you today. So what we're going to be covering is this Learn module. You can go to aka.ms/learnlive 2022-0404B, and nice, easy to remember URL. It's a Learn module. You can also use the QR code there. It's a Learn module that, as we mentioned, Yoshio-san has created, and I'll be narrating today as Yoshio goes through the actual setup of doing this. So the learning objectives, we're actually going to create an Azure database for MySQL, which is one of the Azure offerings for databases. We're going to deploy a Java EE application to JBoss EAP on App Service. So Azure App Service is our software as a service platform, and it's just an easy way to manage and scale your applications. In this case, JBoss EAP. You can also, of course, run this on a virtual machine as well, but JBoss EAP shows you how you can do it without having to worry about the underlying infrastructure yourself. Same with Azure Database for MySQL. So Azure Database for MySQL allows you to run this without having to set up your own MySQL instance. Everything still works. You can still connect through the console that you're used to with MySQL, and we're going to be doing imports and things using standard MySQL commands, but it's a service that's managed for you. We're also going to be doing a data source and binding that data source to the application using JNDI actually, and then access and manage the Java EE application on JBoss. So those are the 4 objectives. I believe there are 8 modules in the learning path for this, and we'll be continuing on that. So a little bit of an introduction here. Java EE applications, for those of you who may not know, are used in many enterprises, such as they're used in many enterprises. You can read the rest of that slide there. If your service requires a package and it's a WAR file instead of a jar file, and as we go through, we'll explain what the difference is in those. And basically, you query and update the data from a relational database. In this case, that's a basic demo that we're going to be used for this. So deploying Azure databases for MySQL. The database for MySQL, it's a relational database. For those of you who may not be familiar, I'm pretty sure everyone who might be listening to this who's in the Java world is familiar with MySQL. This is a managed service that we have for that. The deployment options in this case, you can go through the CLI. You can go through the portal, the Azure portal, and a couple other options as well. But overall, it's a managed instance of MySQL. There's not much else to say about it. You can scale it. It's got a high availability. We have multiple locations around the world that you can use and replicate data in between them as well. And you can manage several configuration parameters. All right, enough of the slides. I think we're going to dive right into the actual demo now. The first thing we do is log into Azure, which I'm guessing Yoshida-san has already done. And if we want to switch to Yoshida-san's screen, we can go through that and take it from there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So, cool. Everybody, so maybe so you can see my screen. And so let's go to the start button. And then, so this is the introduction. So please continue to the. And so already, so Brian-san explained how to proceed this module. And so at first, we need to log in and group create and create the flexible server. So let's exercise. So at first, so please execute the git command. So like this. So then you can get the sample application and the sample Java EE project. And then so like this, so this kind of the directory and the file structure you can see on your machine. Then so at first, so please exit login.
One thing I want to mention while Yoshida-san is logging in is when you go through the Learn module, the first page that Yoshida-san is showing here is not actually the exercise. This is just showing you some examples of how you can set up the exercise, but you actually set up the exercise in the next module, and there's a shell script that Yoshida-san has created that's really good for setting this up. There it is.
Okay. So just now, so I will execute this shell script.
And this does take a little while to set up. So it's going to take a little while to run. And once that's finished running, you'll have, it sets up a MySQL instance, and it sets up a database connection, a password, a host name, and a server name that you'll need for the rest of the Learn module.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, if you want to go back to my screen for a second, I can show you a little bit while this is running of the, yes, let's go back and I'll show you a little bit of the application, if I can find it. There it is. Okay, so Yoshida is going through the exercise here for deploying the app. But the actual application itself is it's on GitHub, and we'll share a link in the links as well, but it's in the Learn module as well. So if you go back to the AZ login. One of the things that's important here for these is to do the AZ configure as well. When you're setting up that script, before you run the script, do set up that AZ configure location. So what that does is it sets up a default location for your application. And it sets up a default location for your resource group as well. And it has to be a location that's somewhat close to you in general. And there are some limits on which locations have MySQL instances. So definitely check those out as well. Yoshida-san, let me know when the script is finished running there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not yet finished.
Yes.
And exactly. So I would like to inform you one thing to the audience. So if in your environment you are using the IPv6 environment, then maybe this script will fail. So because the firewall configuration of the MySQL command is only available for the IPv4 environment. So if you are using the IPv6, so then please change the your IP from the IPv6 to IPv4, please.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent. Good point. So you would do that in the config as well. So you it's a AZ configure command that you would use to set the IPv4 instead of IPv6. Yes. Absolutely. And that's highlighted here as well. So that's important. But when you run this script, what it's going to do is at the end of it, it gives you this nice little bit of information here. It's very critical that you copy and paste the results of the script when you get them, because you're going to have, this is obviously not going to be stars in your version. It's going to be the actual value of the password that you need, and the host name, the username, and password that you're going to need for that. Yeah. And let me show you the actual application. So this is the application itself. It's just a really simple application. And what it does is it gets a standard world database from MySQL. It's provided by MySQL for sample data work, which is what we're using it for. And when you query it, you can query it through curl, or you can query it through the browser. I'm just using the browser in this case, and I'm just asking it to show the area. And so this is the area that you've got, just a little example of what it is. It's very simple, sort of interactive, but it does take a while to run the script and to run the two things that took the longest for me were running this script that we're running now and actually importing the data from this MySQL that you download a zip, you unzip the application, and then from there you can use an import to import the data into your MySQL database. And those are the things that took the longest amount of time for me.
Maybe so. Just now I'm configuring the firewall rule, so maybe
Yes.
soon it will be finished. So could you wait a moment, please?
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. And this is this is my Azure. Oh, there we go. We're on Shiusan's. It's still going to take a little while, so maybe we should switch back to my screen. I was going to show you in the Azure portal. This is what I just set up a dashboard in my Azure portal. This is the actual database, and this is the app service that gets created at that time as well. And the app service itself, what you do is just go in here and then click on the link for the app service. Let's make that smaller. There it is. It's going to give you this error, but then if you put area, for example, in there, then you get the actual values for the area. Um, so that's basically it's just a REST API application that you could use for that. Now let's see. Inside the application itself, we also have the instructions for running the script as well, and a couple of the steps that you need to do that. But should we switch back to Yoshio-san's screen?
Yes. So
Yeah, still running. I guess it'll take a little while.
yeah. So
Can add. I don't know if anyone can hear it in the background here, where my home office. I've got some gardeners working hard out there.
yeah. So
It's always fun.
oh, just finished.
Yes, there we go. So that is the thing that you need to copy. And basically from there, save it in a local file and make sure it's saved, because if you lose your ID and password, you're going to have to start over. And we don't really want to do that. What I did is I created a Scratch file that has all this information. And then there is some other information that you'll need to customize in some of the future steps. So make sure and just save that just the way that Yoshio-san did.
Yeah. So can I go ahead?
Please, yes.
Yes. Okay, so just finished to the set up the MySQL. So after that, so I need to get the sample database from the original MySQL website. So in order to do that, so I executed the call command. Then so I can get the word database and with the word zip. Then so I get the sample database of the like this. Okay. So after that, so I need to log into the MySQL server, which I created before. So then, so I executed the MySQL command and password. So you can see on your screen. So please copy and paste. Then, so I can log into the MySQL server. Then, so I need to create the sample database. In order to do that, so I executed the source command. Then, so look like this. So the data will be inserted automatically. And maybe so it will take maybe around 1 minute or 2 minutes. So could you wait a moment, please? So maybe depend on your environment. So maybe it will, take a little time. So
Hey, I did want to switch to my screen if that's okay. So I'll just while this is running, I'll show you a recap of what we've done basically. So we signed into Azure. We set up the default installation location using the config, and then created database for MySQL instance. Right now we're getting the data from the sample database, and then we're going to sign into MySQL. Once we sign into MySQL, I'm sorry. We signed into MySQL using the script that Yoshio-san just created. And then what it's going to do is it's going to create those databases using the command that he used. And then we're going to confirm the databases and tables and just check out the sample database. And then in the next part, we're actually going to deploy the application. So I'll let you get back to Yoshio's screen. It should be probably done by now. Is it done?
yeah. So it finished. So just now it creates the word database and uses the word word. Then so show tables. So and if I executed the show table, 3 table had created. And like this, select a stuff from city like this. So already it inserted the data. And so in this application, so I will execute this kind of the query. So this is show the all of the continents information, and also so in the one continent, which country is included, so you can share like this. So for example, so in Asia, so many country you will be see, and finally, so if I executed this query, then so the number of the 1 million or over 1 million city will be showed. So for example, in Japan, so like this city is over the 1 million person. So this query will use in the Java EE application. Yeah. So so if you can execute this command, so maybe you will finish this uh, this module. So you can go to the next uh, step. Yeah.
Thanks. I'm muting.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, hello, Brian san. Oh, so just now, so Brian san is uh, has something wrong. So I will explain the next module with deploy a Java EE application to the JBoss EAP on Azure App Services. And at at first, so in order to deploy the application to the Azure, so you need to inform the oh so according to the Brian san, so there was something wrong. So I will proceed this module. So you need to input the subscription ID and the resource group, application name, and the pricing tier. So look like this kind of information is needed. And after that, so build the WAR file. And in order to do that, so you need to execute the Maven package command. And after that, so you can deploy to the Azure. And like this step, so you need to execute it. So I will continue to the module. So at first, in if you get the module you MSLAN module, so you can see the like a source code main and jacks are configured already. So I implement the sample code. So in order to uh, configure the application, so you need to execute this Maven command with this. Please execute it the Maven plugin command, Azure Web App Maven plugin command. So then, so if it is the first time for you to execute this command, maybe so you need to download some dependency library. However, so if you download the library, you will see this like console, and please select the Linux environment. And so in this time, so I will use the Java 8 module. And so in this spreadsheet, so please select the number one as a JBoss EAP 7. And finally, so you can select the pricing tier, so P1 V3 or P2 V3, P3 V3. In this time, so I will pick up the P1 V3. And finally, so I enter the command. Then, so you can configure the uh, deployment configuration to the pom.xml file. And maybe, so if you see in your pom file, pom.xml file, then you can see look like this configuration will be automatically added by using the above command. So after I configure the command, then I need to insert the additional configuration in pom file, pom.xml file. So this is a additional configuration. So please copy and paste to the pom file. So for example, so this is a pom.xml file. And so after the resources, then so additional resource.
Actually, it should go right above the closing out of the resources. You went one line down too far.
Excuse me, sorry.
That section, it should go one line higher.
Hiya.
It miscopied.
Oh, really? Oh, miscopy.
Yeah, you actually put it below the slash resources instead of above the slash resources in the resources group.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just one line higher. So
Oh,
after,
yeah.
yes, perfect.
I'm so sorry. Thank you so much.
No, yeah, I wanted to stop you before Maven yelled at you later. So
Thank you so much.
yeah, very, very good. That's extra eyes always helps.
And yeah, so so this script is needed. So because as you can see, sorry, oh, as you can see, those in the web app. So this is actually script. So and in this shell script, so I created the data source for the MySQL. So during the startup of the JBoss EAP, it will be invoked. So in order to do that, I added the additional configuration. And so like this, so you can get the connection information from the environment variable. So it will be very easy to configure the MySQL database data source. And so I already explained the detail of the this configuration. So maybe you can see like this. And if I configure as a type as a startup script, so even though I push the create MySQL data source shell script, the file name is this, it will be automatically rename the name of the startup.shell. Okay. And so finally, so if you would like to customize the uh, so like a resource group name and the application server name, then so you can configure the uh, your environment. So for example, if you go back to the so pom.xml file, so like this, so if you feel that so this kind of the resource group name is a little bit long, so please change the resource group name. And so of course, so you would like to change the name of the application name. So you can change the name of the application by editing this line. So in this time, I will use the resource group name as a JBoss EAP and the application name like this. Then, so I finished to configure the all of the things. So I need to build the so Java application by using the so Maven clean package command. And oh, already it finishes the build command. Then so I will step to the next section and exactly if I executed the Maven Azure Web App deploy command, then automatically it will deploy to the JBoss EAP. It will automatically create the JBoss EAP and deploy the application to the created JBoss EAP.
Now, I actually want to interject a question here while we have just a few seconds to be able to do that easily. We did have a question about do we have some custom Linux images in Azure as well, focused more on cloud environments and fault tolerance? I'm aware of the Microsoft Linux images, but do you have anything to add to that, Brian or Terata-san?
I can take that.
Okay.
Tata-san is working. One thing I just wanted to mention, I'll answer the question. Then there's one thing I want to mention what Yoshida-san is working on right now. So yes, we do have pre-configured images.
Oh no, I think we lost Brian again.
Oh, so
Boy, he must not have made the appropriate sacrifices to the demo gods.
oh, sorry.
He's frozen. So I guess when Brian comes back, he can either ping me with that and I'll post it in the chat, or maybe we can stop again. I don't want to necessarily ruin the flow of things because everything's just rolling right along so nicely. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all we had. I think I'm caught up on most of the questions at this point. Terada-san, if you'd like to continue, it looks like it's rolling right along nicely, so that's good.
Yeah.
We did have if you don't mind me throwing in another question here while this is running, and I already answered this in the chat, but I do think it's instructive if someone's in a different chat, a different way of joining, because we have this going out over multiple media. But there was a question about is there a GUI option as well? And of course, I mentioned portal.azure.com. Because the portal is it's a very nice, powerful option that you have to monitor and manage and configure and deploy. I typically, it's just a matter of how you want to work with your workflow. But I typically will use that when I'm configuring things initially, or when I'm trying to monitor things and see, get some insights into how things are tied together and working and so on and so forth. That looks like I may have had something to do with that. You're Brian, that's Central US. Hopefully I didn't overwrite your settings. But we also support many, many, many different ways of handling things scripting wise. So the Azure CLI, just shell scripts using the Azure CLI, I should say, and Terraform and Pulumi and Bicep and ARM templates and probably, 2, 3, 5 that I'm not even thinking of off the top of my head. But you have multiple ways of getting this kind of worked out and nailed down and then scripting it all. So that makes it very nice and repeatable as well. So you have multiple options you can choose from or mix and match depending on your use cases. So however you work best as a developer, we have you covered.
Oh, so sorry. So can I explain to the audience? So Mark-san.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So just now I faced some problem. So according to it, so just now, so the code, no, there was a limit of the premium briefly in the default location. So central US if you select the central US, maybe so you will face the same problem. So please change the location. And at the time, so I'm so sorry, I didn't explain about the region. So please select the same location which so you create the MySQL environment. So because latency, if you get the more high quality high performance, so latency is a really big problem. So if you created the same location about the Java E application, JBoss EAP and the MySQL at the same location, maybe it will be better. Oh, sorry. Oh, just now, so I finished to create the JBoss environment. Oh, I relieved. Yeah. So if you finish to create the environment, so you can see also look like this information will be see, and so configure the database connection. So already, so I inserted the dependency library to the pom.xml file. So you can see the root.war file dependencies, and so as you can see already, so you can see this kind of shell script will be invoked during the startup of the application. And I already mentioned you, so the previous this shell script will be renamed as a startup.shell, and in order to invoke this shell script during the startup of the JBoss EAP, so we need to configure the this command. so in order to do that, for example, web application name equal export web app name is so in our environment. So application name is here, and the resource group name is here. So export resource group name is, and after that, so you can copy and paste this command. So then, I finished to configure the startup script, and finally, I need to configure the connection information of the MySQL, and in order to do that, this kind of command is needed, and in order to do that, by using the previous copy and paste information I will use, and at first this is the server name of the MySQL server. So I will change the name of the MySQL server, and the password is this. So I will change the password. And the name of the MySQL user is the same as Azure user, so you can execute it the AZ web app config command. So I will execute it. So just now, so you can configure the MySQL connection information. And after that, so data source reference in this code will be in the resource directory, metainf directory, so you can see the persistence.xml file, you can see. And this is a configuration of the Java Persistence API, JPA. And in the data, in the application, so I will use the persistence name as a JPA World Database Persistence Unit. And the data source and this persistence unit will be used in your Java EE code. And for example, so in this your application, so you can inject the entity manager with your persistence unit name. So you can invoke the from your Java application code to the MySQL database.
If I could inject a couple of questions here while we have just a second. I don't want to interrupt flow, but wanted to get these, get your inputs on these. Brian, we do want to come back to the to the whole Linux build, but specifically, is there any kind of app? Do we offer? And this is not to do with this course, so we may want to just follow up for reference in the future. But is there any kind of an application generator we provide which you can just build around a SQL database?
Not that I know of, but that's a good question to handle. Let's cover that question at the end. I think we're going to have plenty of time at the end to answer that. But I don't know of any sample application generator that we have that would do that. This is as close as it gets, I think. One thing I wanted to mention that Yoshio-san showed was the persistence.xml that he just showed was actually it's part of a shell script that you start and activate every time the application starts. So it's not necessarily that you need to edit the persistence.xml. That's actually done for you when you create that custom connection as well. I just want to apologize for those folks who might have noticed I pop in and out. I've had some technical difficulties, but hopefully they're over now. But yes. So getting back to the original question, which was Linux images. So we have several Linux images for virtual machines that you can use. And we also have images that you can use for app service. So virtual machine images, if you just search for Azure Marketplace, you'll find some that Microsoft provides and some that third parties provide for JBoss and other application platforms for Java, including Jakarta EE. For Azure App Service specifically, we have specific pre-made containers and things behind the scenes, and you configure them using, there's different options, Tomcat, there's JBoss EAP and a couple others. So when you're actually creating app service manually, you get to choose all that and you set your configuration. What we're doing in this Learn module is we're actually doing it in a more automated way. So as you see, as we go through this, you'll see that you send some commands using Azure Web App, and those commands will actually configure this web app for you. But you can do that through the portal as well. So hopefully that answers the question. Yes, and so Yoshio-san is going now. He's actually creating the application. There it is. Yes, so he's actually searching some of the data and showing us that it's all operational there. And you do that through curl, or you can also do that through HTTP. So if you just go to the web app, I showed at the beginning of this, I went through the web app. He's going through curl. So yeah. Cool. There it is. Paste twice. Common problem. Oh. Yeah. So
sorry, first name is a little bit different. Oh, so this is a correct. I'm so sorry. I will copy and paste. No. Oh, what happened? Sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, this is. Oh, difference. Oh. Yeah. So sorry. If you executed the this kind, and so please change your host name. However, so if you executed the command with the call, then so you can see the result from the database. So can you get the same result? So I hope so you can see the same result in your environment. So Max-san, so can I move to the another section? Oh, so I will proceed it to the next module. And just now, so we could deploy the JBoss EAP application to the Azure and Azure environment. So since now, so I will manage. I will configure the administration tool and how to see the log command. So in order to do that, so we need to configure some steps. So I will inform you about it. And at first, if you would like to get the application log, so you need to execute the AZ web app log command, or so if you can access to the Azure portal, so you can get the log information from the Azure portal too. So for example, if you can access to the Azure portal, so you will see the JBoss EAP environment. And so if you select the instance, so not only the Azure command, but also you can get the log from the like a log stream command. Yeah. So you can get the log from like this. So in order to confirm the log, so many option is there. So if you can if you executed the command or Azure portal or the if you are using the like a log analytics, then you can get the log information from many kind of option. So just now I will execute the exercise. So at first, I will execute this command, and so I already source minus three. So I and sorry. Oh, no. Yeah. So if you executed the AZ web app create remote connection with application name and the resource group. So
Sorry, I scooted something there.
Sorry.
Hey, folks, I'm here. I'm back. Sorry about that.
Brian's back.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on today. I'm having all kinds of issues.
I'm so sorry.
So Terada-san is actually looking for the created name for the app service. There it is, right at the top there. Yeah, it was the the resource group name as well. Yeah, because when you create a new window, environment variables aren't there. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry.
That's hey, I've been through this as well. The one thing I was going to say, when you get to this point, there is a password that's asked, and the password is
password is this.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure to read the input and the export that you have, because there's two things you need here. You need the port number and the password.
Yeah. So please open the another terminal. So like this. And so the port number is 5. Oh, sorry. Port number is 52597 in my environment. Then please input the password as a Docker.
And
Then you can log into the JBoss EAP environment. Already Java application is running in this machine. So and in order to manage the JBoss EAP environment, you can execute the JBoss CLI command. Yeah. And also you can get the product information or the for example, the list of the deployments. So in this time, I deployed the root application I already deployed, and also if you would like to check the database connection, then so like this command. So you already create the data source name as a JPA world data source. So you can execute it the database connection test like this. And so I need to inform you one thing. So this command and this environment is running on Docker. So if you configure the JBoss EAP configuration by using this command, unfortunately, if you rebooted the system, the configuration will be clear. So so if you need the configuration in the other persistence, so you need to create the like a shell script, which I show the above. Okay.
Right.
Can I move? Can I move?
Sure. Yes. So go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I was going to say as well. Anytime you reset that connection, the tunnel, when you put in the tunnel command again, it gives you a new port. The password in this case is the same, but you do have to make sure to do that port. I've been caught on that many times myself. Yes.
Okay. So next, I will execute it. So add user command. Then you can access to the JBoss EAP admin portal. And just now, if I access to the command with the password, then you can see this kind of JBoss EAP admin portal will be see. And so this is sometimes this is very useful to confirm the runtime environment. So maybe please remember this way. So because for example you can check the database configuration, and also for example you can execute the test command, and also for example this is a less endpoint, so you can see. So if you deploy the application, like a Swagger UI, so you can see the less endpoint, and also you can see the log file from this command, this console. So sometimes it will be very easy and useful. So please remember this way. So this is the I invoke the 9990 port. So icon here, so you can access to the 9990.
Yes, the console stays consistent. The other one, for the command line, you do have to check the port when you come back. I just want to say as well, there we go. So Yoshida-san is showing right now, in the Learn module itself, there's some different steps you can do. You can actually check the data source, for example, to make sure that it's connected and that it's operational and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is already, so you can see. And finally, so from the command line, so this is the, I will cut the connection. Then, so I will execute the AZ web app log command. Then, so you can see the application log from the command line. So like this. So yeah, in many ways, so you can see the log file.
Yep, absolutely. And that's, of course, this is how you can do it with the Azure CLI. You can actually go into the Azure portal as well and
Yeah.
view the log files too. They're there and available through the Azure portal once you create the actual app service itself. So, yeah, it's kind of cool.
And so
Time for the knowledge check.
yeah, so this is the so final one.
Yes. I don't have the PowerPoint running. I'm a little afraid to run it. My machine was crashing when I loaded it for some reason. I think it might be a good idea if we go through it here. I think we all know the answers on here. For those of you out in the audience, yeah, let's go through and I could talk through them right now. If you'd like. We'll switch to my screen and I'll show the knowledge check here as well. Yeah, let me zoom in. So the first question, what is the current name and version of the Enterprise Java platform? And the options, of course, are Java 2 Platform Enterprise Edition, Jakarta Enterprise Edition, Java Platform Enterprise Edition, or all of the above. And there is a poll. The poll is in the banner, aka.ms/polls. For those of you who want to come in and answer that there, we'll be watching for that as well.
Bring in the votes.
I'll
report live from the polling station here. So exciting.
So we can do let's do what we'll do is we'll go through each one of these individually and we'll see what the results are, but we'll come back and we'll mark what we think the answers are for everybody. So number 2, how do you manage data sources for JBoss EAP on Azure App Service? Is it through the JBoss command line, a JBoss graphical user interface, startup shell script, or all of the above? By the way, this question was a little more tricky because technically each one of these things exists and we showed them to you just now, but there may or may not be just one answer. So check that out. And then, so be careful with your answers there, I guess is what I'm saying. The third one is, how can you access your application logs for JBoss on Azure App Service? Signing into the JBoss EAP container instance, Azure Log Analytics, Log Stream in the Azure portal, Azure CLI, or all of the above. So once again, all these things exist, but which is the best way to do it? And how can you actually access the application logs?
Okay. So do you want me to give you the leading answer for each one and then we select it and discuss it, right or wrong?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, so question 1, what is the current name and version of the Enterprise Java platform? We had a little bit of a split vote, but predominantly the most votes went for option B, Jakarta Enterprise Edition.
And that I believe is correct. We're going to find out in a second by doing this live.
We'll find out shortly. Okay, so question 2, how do you manage data sources for JBoss EAP on Azure App Service? And again, we had this is tough, really. This is tough. I think we're going to have to lean toward the all of the above, although there was another option which gave the same number of votes. But anytime there's an all of the above, I'm going to automatically just go toward that. So let's put that one.
I can totally relate. It's a very brave choice.
Yes.
I won't give it away quite yet, but yeah.
I know it's tough. Hold on.
Yes.
And Brian, you can't let your machine crash before you do give away the secret. So,
this has been interesting. Yes.
Well, I should tell everyone that we actually drew straws beforehand to see who would experience the machine problems, because there has to always be somebody. And Brian drew the short straw, so this time it's Brian. Let's see. So Question 3, how can you access your application logs for JBoss on Azure App Service? And the most votes came in once again for all of the above. And this time there was a clear winner. So we'll choose all of the above, and then let's see what we get, and let's discuss.
Good choice. Good choice. All right. Well, I don't want to give too much away, but let's hit the button. I did say that was a brave choice here. I knew it was the startup shell script. But here's the thing. I got this wrong as well. Anyone out there who voted for all of the above, don't feel too bad, because I don't know about this question. I think you can manage data sources from the command line. You can definitely manage them through the GUI, but the answer that they're looking for is startup shell script. So, okay. All of the above, I think, was a totally acceptable answer in my opinion as well. But yeah.
To be fair, we did have a significant representation as well for the startup shell script. So I think people are in there. It's just that there were, I think you said basically the same thing. Anytime you see an all of the above, you have to go, well, can you? Well, I think pretty sure you can. So yes. I'm going to go with that one. And so, yeah, makes sense.
All of these things exist, and we showed them all. And technically you could manage a data source using these. But a startup shell script is by far the most convenient and the most consistent. You start up the application, as Yoshio-san did. He provided a shell script that automatically starts when you start the application, but you could do it any other way. So yes.
So we do have a few questions lingering in chat. I don't know if you want to go ahead. Let's go ahead and probably do the summary first, and then we'll loop back on those. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let's go through the summary, and then we could do that. So yeah, basically, the rest of the summary is just cleaning up resources, and then there's some other resources you can find for this. But there's also some Jakarta Ease links as well. So we've got just some basic links so you can go for more information. But this is how you actually delete the resources that you just created in the Learn module. So I'm sure Yoshio-san will do that right after the presentation. One other thing I want to throw out there, the application itself, when you're creating the app service using the web app deploy command, I was crashed during that period, so I couldn't interject. But one of the things you have to be mindful of is the app service level available in your region that you're working with. Not all app service tiers or SKUs are available in every region. And if that happens, you might have to change your app service location for that particular web app to run it. So if you do run into problems with that when you're running and doing the web app deploy, what you need to do is go back into your pom.xml and change the region to something else. So that's a little tip there. But yeah, let's do questions. Thank you, Yoshio-san. You did great. I wasn't available for the whole thing, unfortunately, but you filled in and you managed to deliver the content. Of course you did, because you're the person who wrote it. So thank you very much for that. And thanks, Mark, for stepping in as well. But yeah, let's go for some questions.
Yeah, one of the questions, and I wasn't quite sure how to answer this because I just don't know the answer to this, quite frankly, but do we support ARM, as in ARM architecture machines on Azure?
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It seems like a valid question. I just don't know.
We do. And the reason I know this, it depends, is the answer. We do have ARM architecture machines. I know that Microsoft has contributed ARM bits to the JDK. So OpenJDK ARM application capabilities are actually provided by Microsoft. So anytime you use an OpenJDK using the ARM bits, they're actually from us. They're from Microsoft. They've been committed back to the source. So I'm going to say yes if you're using the JDK. App service, yes. If you're using the JDK that we have, the OpenJDK, Microsoft JDK. What is the exact term for that? Microsoft JDK.
That's Adoptium, right?
Thank you. Yes, the Microsoft build of OpenJDK. So you can search for that, and we actually contributed the OpenJDK version that you can get. Eclipse Adoptium Working Group is the people who we're working with to help develop new features like that. And the OpenJDK binaries are produced and tested by the Adoptium products and services and the group itself. So hopefully that helps. All right. Any other questions?
I believe there was a question earlier. I'm just scanning through and having trouble finding it, but it's basically about scripting options for this particular module. There were several places where it made sense and almost, if not was, required to edit or verify edits manually. So obviously anything can be scripted with sufficient rigor up front. If you know for certain you're going to have certain files in certain places and you know you're going to use a particular region or whatever, you could probably script it end to end. But in this case, it kind of made sense, I think. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, to just do spot checks as we went along and perhaps add that in manually. Because otherwise, the more you script when things can potentially vary, the more chances there are for breakage.
Yes.
I assume that's why we kept it the way we did, right?
Absolutely. And we do have some framework in here. So for example, if you go into unit 5 of 9, the example, you can run this over and over. Maven W, com, Microsoft Azure Web App, Maven plugin config. And it will take you through a very convenient set of questions, and it will configure the POM XML the way you want it. So we did make some effort towards that. And there are other places here where the script itself is, there's options on the tab for Linux or Windows. So we have sort of pre-built those. But yeah, there are some places where it's unavoidable, unfortunately, where each time you generate a new Azure Web App, for example, in Azure App Service, there's going to be a new unique name for that Azure Web App. And unfortunately, we can't script that. But it's well, we could, but it's one of those situations where it probably takes 10 times longer to run a script that does that with error possibilities rather than just cut and paste the actual value of the web app into there. So I
think there's a key differentiation between a learn module, which is helping you learn to do something where you can, and I find personally a lot of value in. You do a number of steps. Maybe it's 1, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 10 in certain cases. But then you check your work and you see what's happened and you see kind of how they tie together. And that way, at least in my mind, it makes a lot of sense. Now, if you're doing it for a production deploy, you're probably not going to be stopping and checking things as you go along, at least not like, okay, let me understand why this is happening. Because if you're scripting for production, you're probably going to understand why it's happening. You want it to be a defined, repeatable, fast process that can happen a million times an hour if it needs to. So different goals, but certainly options exist. It's just, I think for this case, it added a lot of value to be able to stop and check your work as you went through.
Absolutely. And this is an example, I think, that the person who asked the question is asking about. So yes, you could technically write some script to pull this out of the XML. It's XML, so it's easy to find. You find the resource group, you pull that out using, XSLT, some old school XML stuff there. And then you could actually put that into a automatic command that generates this export command for you. And then you would have the pre-built commands for this with environment variables as the entity reference that we deploy.
And to be fair, when I do finally get things ironed out and have full understanding of things, and I do use scripts, I either use JQ or TSV, output TSV, and that way the AZCLI commands, when you do use those, will happily return you exactly what you're after to assign it to a variable and continue on. But again, if until you get things hammered out, you might be returning nothing and then wondering why your script broke, 2/3 of the way through. So.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was alluding to earlier. We can write these cool scripts, but if something happens along the way, it's going to be blank, and then you're going to get this obtuse error message. You don't know what happened. So in this case, it's easier to copy. And then you've got these, web app names and resource group names inside the script. As long as you predefine them, they'll work. So yeah, that's cool.
I'm trying to think of anything else that we had that we didn't answer. I tried to keep on top of things as we went through. If something slipped through, somebody wants to bubble it up to the top again, please do. Otherwise, if you think of something after the fact, if you're like me, 10 minutes after you disconnect, that's when I forgot to ask that one, and that's the most important question I had today. Please reach out to us or the Microsoft Developer official account, and we will get you an answer. The whole idea is, we have a limited amount of time. We wanted to cover things the best that we could and to start a conversation, because we all think of questions all the time, and let's talk about them.
Yes, and we've got a few minutes. So the person who was asking about images, pre-built images for JBoss, if you want to share my screen here, I can show you an example. So I searched the search engine for Azure Marketplace, and then you look at I searched for JBoss, and there's the first thing that pops up is Red Hat JBoss, but there are others. And these run on Linux virtual machines. Okay, oops. Click too soon. So we've got all kinds of JBoss. Some of it's provided by Red Hat, some isn't. We've got Wildfly and all kinds of things. So check out the Azure Marketplace if you're looking for images that you want to run on a virtual machine. You could create a generic virtual machine and install your own platforms, but then we have things like pay-as-you-go. So it's already pre-built and it's there. And if you don't have a license, you can actually use the pay-as-you-go image, for example, to do that. And there's different platform versions and things like that. So 7.2, 7.4, and these are kept up to date. So if you need a specific one, it's there. We got Wildfly, Bitnami, and like I say, some are you require a license, some are open source, and the other ones are pay-as-you-go. So yeah, some of the things you can do with that. All right, so I think we're at time. Thanks for Yoshio-san for his great Learn module and knowledge, and soldiering on when his colleagues were disappearing off the screen. And thanks, Mark, as well for the same thing. Thank you for jumping in when I was crashing and burning in the background here. That was fun. And I hope this was useful and informative. And you can find more information with the recording. We're going to include links to the Learn module and also to the GitHub repo that you use for this. But it is pretty easy to set up. Carve out a couple of hours. There's some concepts to learn, and there's some things you'll get wrong that you'll have to try again. I guarantee you this. But it is really a really great learning experience on how to take a Jakarta EE application, and by the end you have a working application with data sources, and you can check the logs, and you can also look in the console and query the whole JBoss EAP installation. So that was great. Thank you, Yoshio-san. Thank you, Mr. Heckler, and we'll call it a day. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.